Ever notice, no matter how much inner work you do, affirmations, visualizations, meditations, no matter what you're doing, your SP keeps showing up the same way. It's not them, it's you, okay? Before I start, guys, this video, yes, it's going back to the basics of SP, everyone's favorite topic, but it's the same message for everything. Identity is how you are perceiving your reality. And I'm going to go into a client who I spoke with recently who had this massive epiphany, realizing that her identity is why she was seeing the SP the way she was seeing him and why she couldn't actually shift it. Okay, so we're going to go into this and unpack it. If you're not an SP person, stick around because it's all the same message. Okay, so before I start, welcome back to ZAKARI HIKARI. My name is Zach, and here we discuss everything related to manifestation, consciousness, conscious manifestation, Neville Goddard, the law of assumption, all that good stuff. Okay, so guys, it's the reason why the SP keeps showing up the same is because it's the person you're being, the character you're identifying with, the identity that you are infused with that you're not even seeing. And until you accept that, you see it, accept it, let it go, choose again, you're not going to meet anyone different. You're not going to meet a different, whether you get a new SP or a new person, or you just keep going in the same fucking cycle. Until you shift the identity that you're being, you're not going to see anyone out there. Okay? And for all you I am people out there, I'm going to cover you guys later in the video, so stick around. Okay? So Neville Goddard literally said, quote, okay, only as one is willing to give up his present limitations and identity can he become that which he desires to be. And that's the part that almost everyone skips. That's why you're literally still going around in circles, because you're not actually giving up that identity. So there's two sides to this. You're either going straight to I am and you're still carrying that identity because you need to choose an identity to have the human experience. So you just keep circling back around. It's like, oh yeah, I feel great when I'm in I am, but why does my life still look the same? Or you kind of identify it, but you haven't really shifted or chosen. So you keep trying to like fight this one identity at the same time rather than actually bring it to the light of awareness and choosing again. Either way, you're going in circles. Okay? Because the truth is, guys, you can't fix or drop or accept what you can't see. If you're not aware of who you're being, you can't let it go. And most of you don't even realize who you're being. I mean, that's why you're so fused with the identity. You don't even, you don't see it. It doesn't like even come to your awareness. You don't even like are aware of it. You're just so infused with it. And it's how you're seeing your entire reality. So you're completely blind to it. That's why they call it a blind spot, because you're in it. You're so infused in it. You can't see the forest through the trees, right? So tell me, guys, who are you being right now? Okay? Really, who are you being right now? So let's talk about the trap. Okay, here's the trap. You chase them, or you react, or you get in a fight, or you fucking ruminate, and then you affirm, I'm loved. You wait for the text. You go on and monitor their social media. You see they had a birthday party coming up that you weren't invited to, or they're out doing this that you don't know what's going on. But that's still the identity of the person who's waiting around. Right? Like the one who's begging, the one who doesn't have it. Because remember, you can't be in fulfillment and non-fulfillment at the same time. You get one state of consciousness. Neville, right? Once again, to quote Neville, man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness. It is the state in which you are infused. It's the state in which you are seeing the world. From going to I am, you are all identities, but which state are you actually infusing with? What character are you choosing to play in the 3D experience? Joseph Murphy, quote, the subconscious mind accepts what is impressed upon it or what you consciously believe. It does not argue with you. Florence Scovel-Shinn, who was teaching this years before, like forever, right? Life is a game of boomerangs. Our thoughts, deeds, and words return to us sooner or later with astounding accuracy. What are the assumptions that you're assuming that are coming from the identity in which you are fused with? That's what you're seeing in your world, right? And here's the sting, guys. Most of you really don't see who you're being. You just don't see it. You go on and you look up, oh, do this course or fucking work on this, or I think I have this abandonment issue from way back when, but you don't understand how it's compounding or where it even comes from, and you're just like trying to like knock at certain things. Are they going to therapy for one side of the human race who just sits there and keeps trying to fix one character, or you go to this other side that's just like, oh, just drop the character, or you're trying to change character, but you don't know who you're being, so you can't change it. Right? You think you're doing the work, but you're just dressing the same self in new affirmations. Neville said, right? Another quote, man must take an uncritical look at his reactions to life, for these reveal the state from which he views the world. So when you're scrolling their profile, right? When you're waiting for that text, who are you really being in that moment, guys? Really, like, who are you being? What are you actually being in that exact moment? Because unless you see who you're being in totality, unless you can actually take a full inventory of who you're actually being from the day to day, in every aspect of your life, relationships included, not just the SP, but for all my money people, how are you actually relating to money? What is the identity that you're coming from? Who have you been fused with this whole time? Unless you can actually see it in totality, you can't accept it and let it go. That's what Neville's talking about, taking an uncritical look to actually see it. And most of the time, you're completely blind to it. That's why it's called the blind spot. That's why the cycle just keeps feeling endless again and again and again. And then it stings, right? When the SP ignores you, or they pull away, or they breadcrumb you, or they cancel plans on you, or they say that they're going to do this, then they don't do it, or the money comes in, or you lose a client, or the thing comes in, or whatever it is that you were hoping for, and you're sitting there waiting, you're trying, and you're thinking that something's going to magically shift in your life, and it never does. Right? It's not rejection, it's reflection. I've talked about that in one of my earlier videos. I'll post it up here. All right? Now, Neville, to be conscious of being overlooked while praying to be chosen is to be rewarded with being overlooked. Seth, through Jane Roberts, you create the reality you know. To change your personal reality, you must change your idea of who you are, the identity. What is identity? What is self-concept? It's the concept you literally hold of yourself, your identity. And that's not about reprogramming a self-concept. That whole thing about reprogramming, it's not a reprogram. It's a choice. It's like a relaxation into the state of being that person. But if you're going against one character without seeing the person that you're being, you're just going to go in fucking circles. And you're most people, they can't see it from inside it. Okay? So if the mirror, it only reflects you. It's only ever reflecting you. So what does your SP's behavior say about you? What does your world say about you? That's the key. This is why it stings, because you're begging reality to shift while you're still being the one who waits, or the one who gets breadcrumbed, or the one who expects to be treated poorly, or whatever the fuck it is. Right? You're still waiting for something to change, but you're not actually shifting. So you're trying to force the reality to change without changing. Neville Goddard, no one to change but self. And the mirror is fucking merciless. It does not give a shit. Does not care about your affirmations. It doesn't care. It only reflects who you are identified as, who you are being in consciousness. All right? Guys, I see this every week in my coaching. Literally. I had one client, the one I mentioned at the beginning of the video. She realized that she was seeing her SP as a jackass. Right? She said, why does he treat me like that? How could he just go off like that when he was, I think that they kind of like worked together or whatever. And he was focused on some project or something. And she built this whole story saying that he was an asshole. He was a jackass. How could he do that to me? And I'm like, first of all, from a 3D perspective, that's a lot of stories you're carrying around, because he was like literally in the middle of work. All right, so let's take an inventory of who you're being. What she didn't see was that she was literally identifying as the person who gets treated like trash. People are only messengers reflecting back to who you are aware of being. That's not the exact quote from Neville, but I'm sure you've heard it, right? And then once that click unlocked, then we could go deeper into it. Where is that coming from? What's the whole story here? We started literally after, it took us a couple months, right? 'Cause she was a little bit resistant. But then it started really coming up to the surface. She's like, holy shit. I've been seeing my whole life this way because I was attached to all of this. And I didn't even realize that all that was playing back here. Now, you know, she could actually start now accepting and letting that character go and shifting into a new character and actually moving through it. And actually, I think she did a 2-week texting package, and we just finished this morning, and it's not our first time working together. She said, oh my God, you know, I'm sure I'll be back in a few months or whatever, but I actually feel like I have a direction now, because she could actually see who she was being, right? But then, other clients, they keep circling and they say all the right words. They do all the shit. They do all the processes, but they keep showing up from the same identity, from the same overlooked identity. So life never bends. And then they get all frustrated and say, oh, this isn't working. And then they all, I get so many of those clients who they're like, you're I'm either the first teacher or the last teacher they go to. Right? And my identity that I'm embodying is I'm the coach who shifts. I'm the coach who actually gets you your shit and shifts you. I don't want to be someone who just keeps you in a loop, giving this fucking like big level advice that doesn't actually become practical of how you can actually shift the character. Right? Both sides are correct. Being the big picture is still very much true, but so is the identity aspect of it for the human experience. They're both true. You need to incorporate both to actually have the physical experience that you want to have. You need to persist in a character long enough for the 3D to actually circle around it and start to unfold. That's how this works. Another client shifted the moment she stopped being the one who chased and could see that old identity and actually switched it up. Literally, her SP was like fucking blowing up her phone. I think that was one that I posted a couple weeks ago on the community tab. Like, and it wasn't because of the technique she was doing. It's because of who she now was identifying as, and she could let that other identity go because she saw it, she accepted it, down to every nook and cranny, and she let it go. But you can't let go of a character you don't even know you're being, guys. So ask yourself, like, who would your SP be if you finally were no longer being the one who was overlooked? Right? Same law, same mirror, different identity. That's why some circle for years and years and years. And I get a lot of you guys, especially recently, they're like, I've been doing this for 6 years. I've been doing this for 4 years. I've been doing this for 5 years. I was working with this one coach for 4 years. And they just keep circling because they're not actually looking at the identity. They're taking all these high-level coachings. They're understanding the I am. They're understanding the quantum physics of it. But how do you apply that to your life? You look at the identity. You shift it. Right? This really isn't a SP video. This is a bigger... It is SP, but it's not SP. If you guys know what I mean, okay? And we don't do any cuts here, so we're just going straight through. So, guys, your world is nothing but an echo. It's a reflection from you. If you're the one who's waiting, they literally cannot treat you any differently. If you're aware of that, if you're aware of the separation, they can't treat you differently. When you clothe yourself as the one who is already that identity, that's how the mirror bends. That is consciousness. Neville, change your conception of yourself and you will automatically change the world in which you live. And I used to struggle with that quote forever. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? It's identity, guys. Right? Joseph Murphy, as you change your belief, you change the response to the subconscious and the world reshapes accordingly. Yeah, you can throw out all these different terms, subconscious mind, whatever it is, but it's still the same thing. It's consciousness and identity. Who are you conscious of identifying as? That's what shifts your entire world because it's reflecting back to you like a mirror. You are collapsing infinite quantum light particles into a 3D experience of reality. Okay? Florence Scovel-Shinn. The impossible forces are ever working for man who is always pulling the strings, himself, though he does not know it. Right? But here's the catch, guys. Most people never even see the self they're embodying. You don't even see it. You guys are like, the first call is always about, oh, SP this, and they did this, and I can't believe this, and oh my fucking God. And it's just like going off and off and off, and then you guys like circle around, and it's like, high flyers, just fucking put some moon water under your pillow and dance around in the moonlight. Then you guys are like fucking doing 5x5 and 4x5 and 3x5 and 2x4 and 7x8. You're just fucking going around in circles and nothing's shifting. And maybe you'll get a text message. I saw this video yesterday that popped up in my fucking YouTube feed. I just don't watch any of it. But the first thing it was like, oh, I manifested a message from a specific person in a week. Okay, woohoo! Congratulations! You manifest, and they have like the microphone. They're like talking like this. Like, good, you fucking manifested a text message. We're not here to get a text message. We're here to literally shift your entire reality into the desires that you want through identity, guys. Okay? Like, you guys are chanting, I am loved, I am this, I am that. But the dwelling state of who you are, as Neville calls it, is I am overlooked. I am abandoned. I am not prioritized. I have trauma. I am this. I am that. So which one is the mirror supposed to obey? The one that you're just shouting out, or the one that you're actually identifying as? And I know some of you are thinking this right now, and you're already probably wrote a comment by this point that you're just saying, but I say I am. I declare it. I feel the infinity. I feel the expansiveness. Isn't that enough? And here's the truth, guys, and I've said this in my other videos. I am alone isn't persisting in an identity. The identity of someone who just persists in I am is an identity in and of itself, but it's not going to actually unfold in the 3D experience, because that's not how consciousness works. It's like touching the surface of the ocean, but never diving. Right? Neville said, I am is the only cause, but what you attach to I am, that you become. I don't know how much clearer it can be. Anyone debating that needs to okay, you know more than Neville. Congratulations. Like, you can say, I'm one who's chosen, but if you're still blind to the self you're actually being, those words are completely empty. They don't do anything. So when you say, I am, what identity are you really clothing it with? Or clothing it with? Clothing. I swear, the more you know one language, the more you forget the other, and you just forget both. But guys, identity isn't spoken once. It's the character you inhabit and persist in. Without that, I am is empty. It's just this vague thing. It is consciousness. You came here to have a human experience, to experience the limitations of the 3D, to have the physical unfoldment of your desires. You don't get that through going back to I am consciousness. You will get enough of that when you die. Okay? And if you want more on this, I broke it down fully in my last two videos. So I'm going to link both of them up below, or up above. I'll link both of them up there, and you guys can have a look at those two. Okay? Now, the hardest part about SP manifestation, guys, it's not your SP. Because it's all you. It's not your SP. It's letting go of, or accepting, or seeing, or whatever, of the self who needs the proof. Of the self who needs that validation. Right? That fucking coke addict to the 3D who needs their next hit. Oh, they sent me a text message. Oh, just one more. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. All right? Neville, dare to die to who you were. Seth, you cannot bring the old self into the new reality. One must be left behind. Florence Scovel-Shin, man must prepare for the thing he has asked for when there isn't the slightest sign of it in sight. Then you got these fucking YouTube coaches who are just saying, oh, just fucking go to I am. You don't need to choose anything. Because that's not, bro. We know more than Neville. We know more than Florence and fucking the people who are taught by Abdullah himself. We know more than Jesus. Here's the truth, guys. Just drop it is vague, okay? You can't drop what you haven't even seen. How are you going to drop it? You don't even know what it looks like. You don't just let go you don't just let go of an identity. You expose it, okay? You see the character you've been playing in totality, and then consciously you choose the new one. And the old self, it never goes anywhere. It just goes back to the quantum field of infinite potential selves. Right? It's not about dropping it. You can't drop it if you're being it and you can't even see it. Step one, identify it. Right? But until you actually face the role you've been inhabiting, guys, you'll just keep unconsciously rehearsing it forever. No matter how many affirmations you're doing, you're still going to be that character. Whether it's love, money, abundance, fucking whatever it is, you're always going to tell that character. That's why in recruitment, I see all these candidates for the last 10 years, and they'll God, you see these job hoppers. And then you talk to them, and they always have a reason why it was the company's fault, or why it was their boss's fault, or why it was this person's fault. And it's like, are you fucking kidding? Like, at some point, guys, the common denominator, it's you. Right? So, what self are you still secretly protecting? The one begging or the one who's chosen? Not choosing is already choosing. That is still choosing an identity. Staying as you are is still an assumption, guys. And that's why it hurts. That's why nothing changes. Right? The the choice is, who are you identifying as? And this isn't something I get a lot of clients out there who have identified with a lot of trauma, who have a lot of things that I don't want to just give cookie cutter advice to people, because some things are really delicate. And I want to be there to actually take responsibility and handhold a little bit and help you guys get through it and uncover it together. That's why a lot of people who leave those comments, you have to get through the trauma first. You have to go this and do EMDR therapy. No, you have to actually just see it for what it is. You can actually let it go. But you're still protecting that trauma identity by identifying with it. You need to actually get to the root of it so you can choose the new assumption and identity. So guys, here it is. The SP doesn't change till you do. The money doesn't come in until you do. The career doesn't choose you till you do. You don't get into the school until you do. Right? Not by waiting, not by begging, not by trying to convince reality, not by trying to force it, not by trying to manipulate, not by robotically affirming. I know all you guys out there robotically affirming is not the best fucking thing. Yes. Robotically affirming will knock some shit out. But if you're always coming from that identity of who you are you just going to sit there and robotically affirm the rest of your life to keep something? Like, is that really the life you want to live? By just sitting there and robotically affirming all day, oh my God, he fucking loves me, when your mind is pulling back to this old identity that you're being? That's not going to keep it, guys. I'm sorry. It's not. It's not. Like, these robotically affirming people who just, yes, it does work for a reason, but if you're identifying as an opposite identity, the thing is not going to stay. Like, it's by daring to assume that you already are the one that they can't help but love. And you can only choose that identity by identifying who you're being and letting it go. And remember, guys, you can't fix what you refuse to see. You can't. Right? Like, you can't cure yourself. You don't even know what the ailment is. You can't fix a computer virus if you don't know what the virus is. Like, you need to know what it is that is there to actually let it go and assume differently. And if you guys are like finally fucking sick of it and you're ready to see that identity that you've been so married to and so loyal to and protecting your entire life, that's the work I do with clients. That's what I do. I'm an identity coach, an identity-manifestation coach. But that's what I do. We get to the identity first. Then we shift into the identity you want, and that is how reality reflects. All right? We uncover the self you've been blind to, we expose it, and then we shift it through. All right? Spots are limited. My link is below. If that's something that you feel called to do, you'll know. Right? But the question still remains, and you need to tell me, who are you being right now? All right? All right, you guys. I love you. And I'll be talking to you very soon. We're on today in my... You didn't even get to see my shirt. I spent all this time picking out the shirt and it didn't even translate. But we got my Sesame Street Elmo shirt on that my boyfriend picked out. So, thought that'd be fun for today's video. Listen, I want to do other videos coming up, other topics, inspired works videos, get back to different things. These have been some really heavy topics lately. I thought I'd break it up with a little bit of an SP video, which really still was a pretty intense identity video. But, stick around. We'll go on. We'll get some lives going and stuff like that. But always remember, answer the question, who are you being right now? All right? All right. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.